Am I the asshole for treating my grandpa like a stranger at a family event? So I, and my 3 siblings and 9 cousins, have a grandpa that is not really around, for most of us. Around 10 years ago he decided he only wanted to spend time with 2 specific grandkids, the children of his favorite daughter. He doesn't speak to the rest of us unless we are at an event, and even then he barely says anything. Last time we saw him was at a wrestling tournament. He went to watch my cousin, and left as soon as my brother's name was called for his match. So it feels pretty deliberate that he does not talk to us. For reference, I am the oldest grandchild at 20, the rest are all between 5–17. Anyways, my brother had this idea that the next time we saw him at an event we should just act like we don't know him. He never remembers who we are anyways. I thought it would be funny. So last week was one of my cousin's birthdays, one of the cousins he likes, and he was there. He didn't interact with us for most of the party, but towards the end of it he came up to myself and my sister and said hello. I said, "Oh hey. Your ex's grandpa, right? It's so nice to meet you." He looked confused and said, "Well yes. But aren't you wise kids?" I responded with, "We are. Are you related to her or something? You look kind of like our grandpa, but he hasn't spoken to us in years." He was visibly pissed and called me disrespectful before stomping off. Most of the family thinks what I said was funny and not a huge deal, but his wife and the parents of my cousins, his faves, are super pissed at me. His wife told me this will ensure he never speaks to us again. Fine by me lol. I don't really care that he's mad at me, but was this really a big asshole thing to do? I thought it pretty tame as far as jokes go, but clearly people disagree with me lol. No one noticed how he asked if they were wise kids? Like he has to almost verify he was talking to who he thought he was first. What does that say? Hey, he made his bed, now let him lie in it. Not the asshole. NTA. Disrespectful? Maybe lol, but he already acts like the rest of you are strangers to him. He got a taste of his own medicine and now he's upset? He can't have it both ways. Not the asshole. Playing favorite sucks. Whether you're a parent or a grandparent. And he's apparently done both. No one's ever called him out on the damage he's done until now. Good for you. In a twisted way, it was funny. Screw him. You lost nothing. Oh, I can think of about 50 more assholish things you could have done and still have most of us saying, yeah, Gramps deserved it. Of course the favorites are mad. Fuck him. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, that was excellent. Am I the asshole for telling a guy on the bus I'd rather he not sit next to me? I, 35 female, commute into work in the city on Mondays and it's a 3.5-hour trip. I normally sit near the front and there's always lots of extra seats open, including lots with both seats open so you don't need to sit next to anyone if you don't want to. I sit up front near the driver because it feels safer. Lots of people put their bags on the empty seat next to them and move them when someone asks to sit down. Previously, I always kept my bags on my lap while people were boarding and, if no one sat next to me, I'd expand a bit. A few weeks ago, about 20 Malines into the trip, a guy gets up and asks, "Do you mind if I sit here?" I said no problem and he sat down. I'm catching up on work, he seems fine. Then he begins to manspread and starts consistently applying pressure to the armrest area. This is one of my pet peeves. I loathe having to make myself physically small so that other people, TBH it's almost always men, can spread out like no one else is allowed to have personal space. But whatever. It's transit. It sucks, but so it goes. For the record, we're both fairly lean people. Neither of us appears to physically need to take up more than our allotted space. I didn't say anything, but I kept my legs and arms firmly on my armrest, middle armrests, we each had one, refusing to budge. He kept giving me side-eye, applying more pressure, etc., but eventually seemed to settle into just applying pressure. Annoying, but whatever. Once I had to get some water and he immediately took over my armrest. When I was done, I made eye contact, to assert dominance. Said, "Pardon me," he said sorry and I got my armrest back. Pressure resumed. Annoying but not enough for me to feel it was worth escalating or changing seats. Well, guess who takes this bus every Monday morning now? That's right. This guy. I started putting my bag down on the seat next to me until after he boards and then move it. I move it immediately and welcome anyone who asks to sit next to me during boarding time. Week 2, he did ask once the bus had started into its route. I said no problem and then got up and went to sit somewhere else. He gave me an affronted look. I sat in another set of open double seats on the other side of the bus. Week 4 he left me alone. Week 5 he did the same post-boarding move. This time there weren't any side-by-side seats where both were open, but there were lots of open single seats. This time I said, "I'm sorry. If you don't mind sitting in one of the other open seats I'd really appreciate it." He glared at me, then started calling me A, B, H and C, T under his breath before going to sit somewhere else. At the destination he caught up with me, said, "You didn't have to be such a B, H," and stormed off. Normally, I never discourage people from sitting next to me when they ask, so maybe I'm the asshole for telling him no. I could have gotten up and moved to one of the open seats, but I just really didn't want to. Not the asshole. You should honestly report the behavior to the driver. He was purposely targeting you. Not the asshole. I wouldn't have felt comfortable sitting next to him for 3.5 hours and there were other seats available. His reaction would make me want to get another bus. Not the asshole. He'd created some bullshit rom-com fantasy in his head and you pissed in his cornflakes by making it clear it wasn't happening. Not the asshole. In week 2 there were available double seats, but he wanted to sit next to you. He targeted you. And his reactions really show his character and intention. For your own pizza mind, avoid him at all costs in the future. I am a gigantic woman. Pretty skinny, but still wider and taller than most men. It's crazy how they think they're entitled to your space, and I guarantee they don't shove their legs in your space if you're a man. Not the asshole. The man is the asshole and likely a pervert too if he chooses to sit next to you consistently when there are plenty other open seats. I'm sorry it happened to you. Please keep calm and not be upset over someone so unworthy. Am I the asshole for not being a good neighbor? The house next door to mine, 40M, just sold. I've been in my house for 5 years and barely knew the neighbor I had prior to him selling. Today my new neighbors were moving furniture into the house while I was on my front steps smoking a cigarette. One of the new owners, 50SM, approached me and told me he saw me sitting outside the other day and was saddened I didn't introduce myself or welcome them to the neighborhood. I responded with, "I've been here 5 years and I don't even know the name of the guy who you bought the house from. Sorry, I'm not overly social." He then mentioned how he likes to get to know all of his neighbors and since I live next door I am definitely on that list. He also mentioned that since I'm sitting outside a good neighbor would offer to help them move furniture inside, especially since I appeared to not be overly busy. Annoyed at this point I informed him that I was under no obligation to be volunteered to move furniture, let alone craft a friendship with someone simply because I live next to him. I thanked him for stopping by and started to walk inside. He yelled at me, "Don't ask me for anything in the future if that's how you want to treat people." I responded with, "I've managed thus far without you. Am I the asshole for not going out of my way to welcome someone in my neighborhood and help them move their shit in? Not the asshole. Since I'm sitting outside a good neighbor would offer to help them move furniture inside. I've literally never had a neighbor offer to do that and I have had some phenomenal neighbors, but none that would help me move. Thanks for the award. Not the asshole. Hey, I see you out here and you're not clamoring to be my welcome party. That hurts my feelings. Also, you're supposed to move my furniture since you're nearby. No, you were perfectly clear about the relationship. The way he came at it was immediately an overreach. He didn't come and introduce himself to you since he cared so much about it, he came over to scold you. Really, he's mad that you hadn't made yourself available to be taken advantage of. Oh wow. When I think of good neighbor I definitely think of someone who tells other people exactly how they should be behaving to benefit them. Notice how he was all about what you should have done and should be doing. He didn't walk over and say, "Oh hi man, I'm George, your new neighbor. Here's a beer. If you need anything, let me know, I like to be neighborly." I'd avoid the hell out of him too. Sounds like a nightmare in the making. Not the asshole. That all said, it would have been great for you to offer to help, etc. But that's an extra, not a basic standard of politeness. You could reasonably expect that an adult family had organized their own adult solution to their moving issue. Man shrugging. NTA. Minimal contact op. This guy has been living next to you for 5 minutes and already has multiple problems with you. He's going to be a headache. Not the asshole. I have never had someone introduce themselves while I was moving in or volunteer to help me move in or out. I know my neighbors of 18 years mostly by sight, next door neighbors by name. And that one caused me to erect a fence inside the perimeter fence because she kept giving my dog something that caused explosive diarrhea. Her name is Liz, but I think of her as the diarrhea woman. Not the asshole. Can you put up a 6-foot hedge? A fence? Talk about entitled. Am I the asshole for going bridezilla after my bridesmaid spilled wine on my wedding dress? I, 27F, got married a month ago. My dress was this long, lacy gown that my mom wore at her wedding. My mom passed away about 2 years ago. Because the dress was so important to me, I had a big plan to keep it safe from any damages. I would only wear the dress at the wedding itself, and I would switch to a more casual dress for the reception. When I was wearing the dress, I wouldn't eat or drink anything except water, and I would stay inside at all times. I promise I'm not usually this crazy about cleanliness, but this was my mom's dress, and the thought of it being damaged broke my heart. But I also knew I wanted to wear it when I got married to have a piece of her with me. She adored this dress and always dreamed I would wear it. My bridesmaids knew very well about my particularities with the dress. I had a room above the venue where I was getting ready. My dress was hanging in a safe place in the room. On the day of the wedding, I went down to check on something for the wedding, leaving my bridesmaids in the room. Here's what happened, as they told it to me. They opened a bottle of Pinot Noir, my favorite, as a celebration. They poured themselves glasses and began to walk around checking out the room. One of my bridesmaids, Anna, 27F, wanted to get a closer look at my dress. She got really close to it, and she started touching the lace. Somehow, her hand holding the wine glass slipped, and wine spilled all over the bottom of the dress. When I came upstairs, they told me what happened, and I started sobbing. My maid of honor called several professional cleaners, and they said there was no way they could get the dress in before the wedding. They told us ways to save the dress until we could get it into them, so my mo started doing that. After that call, I became extremely angry. I asked Anna what the hell she was doing holding red wine so close to my dress when she knew how careful I was being. She dismissed it and said it wasn't such a big deal because I was planning to wear the dress, so it could have gotten damaged that way too. I couldn't believe she said that. I called her thoughtless and careless and stupid. I told her that she was no longer part of the wedding and that I wanted her to leave. She left, and neither of us have reached out to the other since. I got married in the dress I had planned to wear for the reception, and I was heartbroken not to be wearing my mom's dress. After the wedding, my bridesmaids joked that I was a bridezilla for kicking Anna out after she made a honest mistake. I absolutely don't think I'm the asshole or a bridezilla because Anna's reaction was so horrible and insincere. But I wanted to get the story off my chest and ask some people who might be more impartial, am I the asshole? Why? Why would you wander around with a glass of wine next to a white wedding dress that had such extreme sentimental value? Not the asshole. They couldn't have waited? They couldn't have waited to have wine? Emo. Even if the dress wasn't sentimental because of your mom, the fact that it's your wedding dress automatically makes it VIP. It doesn't seem bridezilla or ought to take precautions not to have big, ugly stains on your wedding dress. And the fact that Anna didn't seem sorry makes me feel like she deserved to be kicked out. Honey, I think you need new friends. That was not an accident. Anna did it on purpose and the others covered for her. Not the asshole. Not the asshole at all. After that call, I became extremely angry. I asked Anna what the hell she was doing holding red wine so close to my dress when she knew how careful I was being. She dismissed it and said it wasn't such a big deal because I was planning to wear the dress, so it could have gotten damaged that way too. This right here is why I believe you were justified. If I was Anna, I would have been absolutely mortified and would have been apologizing profusely to you. I also would never have red wine near a wedding dress, especially one that holds so much sentimental value. I can't be the only one who thinks she did this on purpose. I'm incredibly uncoordinated and even I wouldn't do something like this. Not the asshole, there is no way this was an accident. Not the asshole, why the hell would anyone have red wine that close to the dress? She couldn't have waited to see it without the red wine? I feel so bad you couldn't wear your mother's dress. And to say it could have been damaged from wearing it is the lamest deflective excuse. I would have done the same thing you did.